Global warming is a serious issue we must address. It's caused by increased concentrations of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, which we release. These gases trap heat in the atmosphere instead of letting it escape into space, causing the Earth's average temperature to rise. A significant portion of these greenhouse gas emissions comes from transportation. Most vehicles today are powered by internal combustion engines. As the name suggests, these engines burn fuel, emitting a hefty amount of CO2 in the process. Electric vehicles, or EVs, have been presented as a solution to this problem for some time now. They don't use fuel or internal combustion engines, but instead run on batteries and electric motors. Since there's no burning involved, EVs emit no direct emissions. But just because EVs don't produce emissions while driving doesn't mean they have no environmental impact. First, let's consider the source of the electricity used to charge their batteries. If the electricity comes from clean energy sources like solar, wind, or nuclear power, that's great. But if it's produced in a dirty coal-fired power plant that releases loads of CO2, then while the EV doesn't emit emissions directly, it's indirectly responsible for them during charging. In the US, the energy mix varies by region. In some states like California, a large portion of electricity comes from clean sources like solar and hydro, but in others, like West Virginia, coal is still a major player. Even so, studies show that, on average, driving an EV in the US produces fewer emissions than a gas-powered car, even if the electricity comes entirely from coal. This is because electric motors are much more efficient than internal combustion engines. So, electricity wins here. Plus, as the US transitions toward cleaner energy sources, the environmental benefits of EVs will only improve. However, emissions from driving are just one part of the equation. Vehicles need to be manufactured before they can hit the road. This process begins with mining raw materials, refining them, transporting them, and finally assembling the components. For both gas-powered and electric cars, the process is fairly similar, with one major exception: the battery. Electric vehicles require massive batteries, and their production is far from environmentally friendly. These batteries are made from materials like nickel, cobalt, and lithium, which are extracted through environmentally harmful and energy-intensive mining processes. For instance, lithium mining, which mostly takes place in countries like Australia and Chile, generates a huge amount of waste, pollutes water supplies, and causes health problems for nearby communities. Cobalt, primarily mined in the Democratic Republic of Congo, often involves unsafe working conditions and child labor. When you consider the emissions produced during manufacturing, EVs leave behind 15 to 70% more of a carbon footprint than gas-powered cars before they even hit the road. This range depends on the size of the vehicle. Think compact car versus a Tesla Model X. Does this mean EVs are worse for the environment than gas-powered cars? Not at all. While EVs are more resource-intensive to manufacture and initially responsible for more emissions, they make up for it quickly because they produce far fewer emissions while being driven. Over their lifetime, EVs are significantly greener. Though they're sometimes marketed as emission-free, that's not entirely accurate. But EVs are undoubtedly more environmentally friendly than traditional cars. As their technology continues to improve, offering longer ranges, lower costs, and more efficient batteries, EVs will become the dominant choice on the road. In the near future, they won't just be the greener option, they'll also be the smarter economic choice. That's all for today's video. Give it a like, and good night.